Welcome mates, I'm BloodThirstyLord, but you can call me Lordy, and today we're back on a new game, and that is Evil West. This game is amazing, and you should be excited, as it does highlight the Wild West era, alongside the aspect of demons being fought at the same time, and the combat options that you do have are so interesting and visceral through the gore mechanics that do exist in Evil West. This is going to be such an amazing game. We'll talk about that within this video and my thoughts and my impressions of what the game so far looks like from everything that we have been exposed to publicly. This is going to be quite fun. Make sure to click the subscribe button and also the bell notification button with all notifications on to keep up to date, and also press that join button to become a member on the channel. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Evil West at heart is a cowboy vs monsters game. That is what you see from the first glance. Alongside that, what's described of Evil West is a dark menace consumes the Old West in solo or co-op, fight with style in visceral explosive combat against bloodthirsty monstrosities. Eradicate the vampire hordes with your lightning-fueled gauntlet and become a Wild West superhero. Alongside connecting to other games like Darkwatch, which is 100% a vibe back on the old Xbox, the original Xbox, alongside that bulletstorm, where you're able to use those mechanics together, the old Wild West vibes with a cowboy that's going crazy against demons from Darkwatch, and then the bulletstorm factors of being able to use your environment to your advantage and do some crazy combos and just go for insane kills in your gameplay against your opponents. That combination there creates what I think is Evil West at heart, while using the third-person perspective instead of being first-person. I feel like this is a great way to be pretty much immersed into the experience. Third-person games are always so immersive in my opinion, so being able to play that in Evil West is something I've wanted to see for quite a long time. I'm glad they're able to achieve it here with Evil West. And this game is being held and priced at a AA standard game, so it's not full price as a AAA game is, so that's something good to keep in mind. Alongside that, there isn't too many detrimental impacts to the gameplay itself, since the gameplay is the core mechanic of the game. We see it throughout all the trailers, emphasis on gameplay more than anything. The story could result to be something weaker or not as evolved as the gameplay is in Evil West, but I do feel like there is a basic foundation of what the story can be and what it could lead to towards the very end, which is pretty much showcased in the trailers itself. And through your journey as the cowboy you'll be playing will be Jesse Redner, part of the institution of the Redner Institution. So that's something to keep in mind. There's an institution that is set in place in this timeline to prevent any monstrosities or any type of demons from appearing. Their goal is to eradicate them, and that is the institute itself, and that's their main purpose. And the leader of that institute is his father, William Redner. So that's something to keep in mind as well. There's a father and son dynamic that occurs, and there's a bit of lore that highlights Jesse and his partner in crime being Edgar, which is an ex-agent at that current time that specializes against vampires. They work together and they bring back a demon, and that demon is a father of a daughter, and that demon daughter comes back to bite them after, as they're having a celebration for what they've achieved in the institute. Then a full outgoing fight occurs between the demon daughter and pretty much causing chaos at the institute. And that's pretty much all we know. That is the starting point of the whole game, and that propels the story of Jesse Redner and the father and Edgar and some other characters you meet alongside the way, pretty much enhancing the story and understanding of the mystery of this game. And there is a co-op experience in the game, but you both play the same exact character. Jesse, you don't play Edgar as a secondary character. That doesn't occur. And the challenge will scale up in the co-op experience due to enemies changing in the way they attack and the behaviors against the co-op experience that you do have activated. But you can complete the game in solo or co-op, becomes your choice on what you want to do. And through your adventures in solo or co-op, you'll be going through multiple environments, different locations, which also favor different enemy types, and different enemies will appear from different factions. And alongside that, bosses. You will have an endgame boss most likely at each faction or each area that you go to, which are kind of crazy. There seems to be hints at a boss of a bat form called the Highborn, some type of death worm boss as well, alongside locations hiring parasitical elements to the environment itself, which makes it very intriguing to go walk around through, but also kind of fearful, because if any of you mates have any phobias against insects or spiders, expect a lot here. And the most important part of Evil West, the gameplay. I've left it for last because there's a lot to talk about when it comes down to the gameplay itself. Essentially, when you see it at first glance, it looks like there is melee combat and range combat, and that's pretty much just it. And then there's combinations of what that melee and range combat can be separate, then seamless transitions between both, as you can go from melee to range back to melee in a single combo, and it's kind of dirty to look. It looks amazing, it's gory, it's fascinating, and there's some interesting weapons that he does use as well. One thing that captures my eye is the wrist blade. He has a gauntlet on one of his arms that has a wrist blade attached to it, pretty much like a Predator from the movies, and that is crazy. So you're able to hack and slash with that weapon in melee close range. You do have a secondary gauntlet, which does have the abilities of empowerment through electricity and just pure force being your blunt weapon, compared to your other side being more of a sharp edge weapon, being the wrist blades. So you get a bit of an interesting combination when it comes down to the melee, and the range combat has a large versatile amount of weapons to choose from, and the tools that go on top of those weapons in range and melee are crazy. We'll talk about it as we go because there's a lot to break down. And then the selectable range weapons you can use in your combat as you're playing Jesse in Evil West is a close to medium range weapon, being the revolver. Gives you reliable damage in that range as well. Then he has a rifle, which obviously increases that range, but has the ability to hit weak spots accurately with precision fire and equals more damage. And also a chance of stagger towards certain enemies with that weak point circle. The weak point circle is essentially a circular gold icon that appears on the character when using a rifle, and that will allow you to apply that weak point damage increase, and alongside that stagger towards that opponent. And we also have the gauntlets that we already talked about, which is the Rentier gauntlets, will allow you to use certain abilities and just punch enemies in inferior attacks at the same time with melee combat. Then you have a wrist blades, which we highlighted, hack and slash on your right arm, I believe, and that is great to utilize. Then from there, there's other weapons and other tools to utilize through your perks and upgrades in the game. So certain upgrades and certain perks will allow you to actually increase those weapon choices, those tools in your gameplay. From having a amp stick, which increases as another form of healing. When you don't have any healing, you can use that as a form of healing in the game. Then you have the Retinia Expo, which is pretty much just a bow that is able to shoot single or continuous shot, and that's another form of doing damage from afar, but also accurate damage at the same time. So that could replace the rifle most likely, or could be used alongside the rifle. Then we also have the Retinia Boomstick, which is a close range weapon that also applies heavy hitting aspects, being a complete stagger towards enemies, and this can work on larger opponents as well. Then you have the Sticky Sticks, which essentially is explosives, an explosive belt that you're able to chuck towards enemies. It latches onto them or area, you're able to explode it from afar, or even use a cannonball ability to go towards that object and make that explode on impact. Kind of interesting dynamic that you can create area effect abilities and open single target damage increases. There's a lot of things that can occur with this kit and with your character Jesse. And there's also defensive mechanics that allow you to dodge or roll out of damage, alongside blocking, and also an ability that helps with parrying against opponents. And alongside that, you have the electric weapon being the Zapper, which is able to pretty much be a modifier towards all weapons in your kit, especially your revolver, special abilities that also have the electrical properties to it, a flamethrower aspect, where you're able to use flamethrowers to open areas and environments, but also against certain enemies to provide dot damage. So there's a lot of things that come into play, which then allow you to create certain synergies through your combos that allow you to air juggle into melee and range combat, and dashes with electricity moves on your gauntlet to go towards targets, or pull them towards you, or pretty much go towards them and kill them with melee combat. There's a lot of things that happen at once, and the one thing you start to realize, the game is trying to enhance your own playstyle. Whatever playstyle you favor in Evil West, your goal is to pretty much achieve that, and this game does allow you to achieve that through all the aspects of weapons and tools, being your upgrades and your perks, or having a skill tree. So you're able to increase a certain item that you enjoy most in a certain way to achieve your desired playstyle in Evil West. So you as a player are rewarded for upgrading your skills and be able to utilize those new skills and unleash it in the battlefield of Evil West, which is a really fun thing to do overall when playing a game. So every time you level up, you're able to get an instant benefit of some new skill that you can use in your next combat combo. And the gore mechanics in the gameplay are just everywhere. You will see it no matter what, it's going to happen. And alongside that, you do have finishers. So towards a certain opponent's ending scene, you have to finish them, bosses, or even single targets being lower creatures. You can actually do finishes towards them and get a gruesome, gory ending towards that creature. It looks really good. And in the gameplay HUD, you have two icons, on the bottom left and one on the bottom right, which highlights different weapons that you can utilize. There's 8 weapons at one given time, which you can use all of them at any time you want in your gameplay. It is nuts, allowing players to combo different ways of fighting with those certain weapons to create new strings and discover new pathways in their combat. Alongside that, you do have a gauge mechanic, so certain things like the flamethrower can only be used for a certain amount of time, then it runs out and you have to wait for it to refresh. So there'll be a type of management skills for certain combos that you want to use against certain opponents, and then other combos you get used against other opponents. So pretty much if there's a horde, I use this certain combo. If it's a single target damage character that's a boss-like character rushing towards me, I use this other combo which takes my other resources, and it becomes like a managing game when playing the game in the gory aspects of the gameplay. So I feel like that's really fun and enjoyable. But that is Evil West at heart. The gameplay's there, the story is somewhat there, and it does feel like it does achieve the element of fun, which is the most important part about games in this day and age. And that is why Evil West is is amazing and you should be excited for it. But mates, tell me your opinions or thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to know. What do you think about Evil West? Are you excited? Are you not excited? I'd love to know in the comment section down below. As always, mates, it's a pleasure to have you guys on the channel as we go through this, and I'll catch you, mates, next time. Bye. Road to 200k subscribers. Let's get it, mates.